So that's what's going on right now. We're dealing with the old enemies of peace: business and finance monopoly, speculation, reckless banking, class antagonism, sectionalism, and war profiteering. That's what's happening right now.
How much can renewable energy offset of our moratorium on offshore drilling? If we decided to not do any offshore drilling in the U.S., how much of that can renewables supply? That's really not the question to answer. I will say, though, as a parenthetical, because I want the record to be straight, is that in 2009, the Energy Information Agency, Energy Outlook, assessed, what the state of affair was in 2008, and renewable energy, including wind, solar, geothermal, and biomass, supplied roughly 5 quads, that's quadrillion BTUs, that's 10 to the 15 BTUs, of energy in the U.S. If you add water, hydropower, to that number is like over 6, 6 quads. If you look at the number that the analysis that they presented offered, it was 683 million barrels of oil that we use in offshore drilling. Well, if you just look at the energy content in 683 million barrels of oil, that's essentially 4 quads. So one could argue that today we already generate more with non-hydro renewables than the energy content of the offshore drilling.
And others.
So
the reason we fought that war was not to uphold UN mandates. It was not to prove that the New World Order was going to be established well by George Herbert Walker Bush. It was to protect oil.
The truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. The problem is the opposite. We keep asking for people to intervene and stop it. And there's no question that the presence of petroleum throughout the region has sparked great power involvement.
That at a time when we're importing more than 12 million barrels of oil a day, if you do the math, 12 million times $85 a barrel, we as a nation are importing more than $1 billion of oil a day. So the economics of this, that math I can do. I'm not enough of an expert on energy to do much more than that, but $1 billion a day is staggering. On top of that, I'm not even talking about the amount of money we spend in military preparation to have a capacity to help stabilize the Persian Gulf. And of course, I'm not even mentioning the ongoing daily cost of operations in Iraq. If you add those two things together, estimates vary, but that's roughly another $500 million a day. So our energy habit, by this very crude math, is $1 billion a day worth of imports and $500 million a day worth of military expenditure in one form or another. Now, I do not want to over-dramatize how much we can reduce that simply by going towards alternative sources of energy. But I would like to present this thought. Wouldn't it be nice if in a current standoff with Iran, which produces about 4 million barrels of oil a day, roughly 5% of the world's total, wouldn't it be nice if we, the world, had the capacity to tell Iran, we're not going to import your oil anymore. So what I'm proposing to you, and I'm happy to go into this in more detail later, is that we do have the ability, if we can even mitigate our our national oil dependence by a few million barrels a day over time. And if other Western industrial economies, and China and Russia and India can do the same collectively, if we can do that, we begin to have a world in which a crisis in the Middle East does not have to present us with the options of doing virtually nothing or doing a bombing campaign.